One, two, three. Testing, testing. Is one, two. Oh my god, this microphones keep cutting on. Is it okay? It works. Nice. Where do I? Oh my god, dude. Oh brother, how do I get to this? Nice. Where is the number? I read some number six. To be honest, I spoiled myself, but it's fine. I don't know why I do this. Solely. Oh brother, been drinking sugar water to survive. It's just gonna be salt water soup to survive. I'm gonna die of malnutrition soon. Anyways, how many documents do I have open for it to not show up? Okay. Oh my god. Harmless wrongs. In the previous section, I argued that animals can be both wronged and harmed when their experiential welfare is not affected. I explicitly and at times implicitly defended a non-experiential based account of harm. Now I will argue that even if the experiential account of harm is the right account of harm, we can still explain how animals can be wronged. The experiential account of harm is the right account of harm. We can still explain how animals can be wronged. Oh, brother, I got scared. I heard my own voice. I forgot that I had a video on myself. Oh my god. Anyways, what I'm. Now I will argue that even if the experiential account of harm is the right account of harm, we can still explain how animals can be wronged when their experiential welfare is not affected. Consider a paradigm wrong that harms, such as the act of maliciously stabbing someone to death. This act has two distinct aspects. First, there is the harm causing action. I take an action to be the intentional bodily movement as opposed to mere behavior, which usually refers to automatic or reflexive bodily movement. Intentionally stabbing another is an action that negatively affects the experiential welfare of the one who is stabbed, and thus it causes something any plausible account of harm could categorize as harm, but not every not every harm causing action is wrong. Suppose that Jake is thirsty and I intentionally hand him a cup of liquid that is actually poisoned, though tragically I mistakenly believed it was water. In doing so, I poisoned Jake and I have harmed him, but I have not wronged him, so long as I did not act recklessly or neglectfully. Surely, when someone accidentally harms another, even when I'm acting intentionally, the harmer does not necessarily wrong the one who is harmed. Intentionally performing an action that causes harm then is not sufficient for wronging. For harm to be wrongfully caused, something beyond a harm causing action must be present. The second aspect of a paradigm wrong is what I refer to as viewing aspect. When we perform an action that foreseeably harms others, we perform that action without regard for those who we foresee will be harmed. We essentially view the ones who we foresee will be harmed disrespectfully. If this action results in harm, we essentially treat the ones who are harmed disrespectfully. When this happens, it is appropriate to charge the one who performed the harm causing action with disrespectful treatment. One way we treat another disrespectfully then is when we perform an action that foreseeably harms another without appropriate regard for the ones who we foresee might be harmed. When disrespectful attitudes in part motivate the actor to perform a harm causing action, the harm causing action is not a mere harmful action, it's a wrong. I refer to paradigm wrongness or wrong as a harmful treatment wrongs. Treatment refers to an action that is performed with a certain kind of attitude or intention directed at some particular identifiable object of the act. There is a sense in which every time we perform an action, we treat the object of our action in a specific manner. For instance, when I intentionally place my cup on the table, I treat the table as a thing to support my cup. And when I intentionally throw my computer in the trash once it stops working, I treat my computer or the computer like a mere resource. I perform the computer trashing action with a certain kind of attitude towards that computer, the attitude that the computer is a mere instrument unless useless to the world once it is of no use to me. It is, of course, appropriate to treat most, if not all, inanimate objects as mere instruments, so it is not the case that every time we treat the object of our action like a mere instrument, we act disrespectfully. One way our treatment of another becomes wrongful is when we perform the respective action with the intention of reducing someone with inherent value to the status of a mere instrument. As noted, not all instances of treatment cause harm. For instance, when we treat computers like mere instrument, we do not harm the computer, insofar as the computer as a insentient object cannot be harmed in the first place. Moreover, not every instance of harmful treatment constitutes a wrong. If I intentionally harm my child by immunizing her in order to promote her health, I treat her as a being who can be justifiably harmed. Um, but my reason for treating her this way do not stem from an objectifying attitude. And a harmful treatment wrong is a harmful act that is performed with the disrespectful attitude or intention that are directed at a particular identifiable object of the action, an object that has inherent value. There is a second kind of treatment wrong, harmless treatment wrongs, which are non-paradigm wrongs. A wrongless treatment wrong refers to a non-harmful act that is performed with disrespectful attitude or intention that are directed at some particular individual with inherent value. For instance, if I intend to kill Sarah by poisoning her, but unbeknownst to me, she is immune to the poison I slipped in her cup, I have treated Sarah disrespectfully. Although I did not harm her, I treated someone disrespectfully because I performed an action with a disrespectful attitude towards an object, Sarah, that has inherent value. And this is all that is necessary for treatment to be categorized as disrespectful and thus wrongful. While there cannot be disrespectful treatment without there being a kind of viewing or disrespectful attitude, there can be disrespectful viewing without there being any kind of treatment involved. This phenomenon refers to what I call viewing only wrongs, which I return in section 11. There are thus two different ways in which we can wrong without harming. We can cause a harmless treatment or wrong, or we can cause a viewing only wrong. In both cases, the wrongness of an act is explained in terms of the disrespectful attitudes or intentions of the actors. In what follows, I provide a sketch of what attitudes and intentions we ought to act on in order to treat beings with inherent value in accordance with their value, and I highlight the ways in which we often fail or respect based obligations in our non harmful interactions with animals, their bodies, and their images. 7. Marking respect. Our respect marking. Give me a second. What would I do? Okay. Both arguments advanced in this article acknowledge that the imperative to treat individuals with inherent value with the respect that they are due requires that we treat them as a kind of being they are. Beings with inherent value, though, are more than just unordinary. Identity less identity less sources of moral value rather they are morally important individuals with unique identities, natures, and modes of existence. They are what Taylor 1986 calls many faceted beings. For example, I, the author of this article, not only have the inherent value, but I am also a human, a philosopher, someone's child, and so forth. To respect me is to acknowledge that I am a many faceted being, and to do so, you ought to treat me as a human, as someone who is a child, as someone who is a philosopher, and as someone who has inherent value. All creatures with inherent value, at the very least, are the kind of beings who are not mere resources. Thus, we must ask, what does it mean to treat someone as a mere resource? To answer this question, we first consider what is analytically contained in the concept resource. As Reagan 1983 compellingly argues, we treat someone like a resource when we harm them for no good reason or when we harm them just to benefit ourselves or others. This is a truth that holds independently of cultural practices and norms. So, a cognitive grasp of the concept of respect involves the understanding that we ought not to treat ought not to harm creatures with inherent value just for our own benefit or the benefit of others. In other words, it is an analytical or analytic truth that respecting a creature involves viewing it as something not to hurt or killed, and refusing to unnecessarily hurt or kill an animal is what I call an objective respect maker or making. Yet we also must be mindful that cultures enrich or add to basic moral concepts such as respect. As Cora Diamond, 1978, page 469, proposes, there are actions or cultural practices that are a part of the way we come to understand and indicate our recognition of what kind it is with which we are concerned. I refer to these kinds of culture based actions that express either the respect or disrespectful attitudes as culturally constructed respect makings. There are specific ways we mark our understanding that certain entities are while others are not resources, and these markings are often socially constructed. Moreover, there are markings that indicate our recognition of what it means to be human. There are markings that indicate our recognition of what it means to be an animal. And there are markings that indicate our recognition of what it means to be a particular kind of human or animal, such as a sister, a brother, a dog, a cat, and so on. Take, for example, familial markings. These are various ways in which a member of a culture with deeply embedded familial, familial norms, familial. Oh my God. And I know I'm saying it right. I check anyways.
Familial.
Familial. I was saying familia, so I guess I was wrong. Embedded familial norms mark our recognition of what it is to be a sister or brother. These markings stem from deeply embedded cultural beliefs that build upon and inform our concepts. Sister and brother, for instance. One way a brother marks his understanding of what it means to be a sister is not by having oh my god, bro, I hate philosophers sometimes. Why are you making me read this? Okay. Dude, are we serious? Then I can't. Oh my god, bro. I know they're not talking about, but I got a screenshot. Brother, these me. Brother, I don't want to read that. I don't want to read that. These markings stem from a deeply embedded cultural belief that build up. Why did like these markings stem from deeply embedded cultural beliefs that build upon and inform our concepts. Sister and brother, for instance, one way a brother marks his understanding of what it means to be a sister is not bro my it's not by having sex with a sister. Sugar water, salt water soup. Sugar water, salt water soup. Okay. Okay. Okay, this marking stems from a deeply embedded cultural belief that a sister is not someone. Why are you talking about this? He's not someone a brother has a belief that enriches the concept sister. We have in part come to understand what kind of being a sister is by endorsing and internalizing the cultural norm that a sister is not someone a brother has, and it's just like more the problem. Even if the individual does not cause none of the fundamental problem that they get a failure on the brother part to recognize what his sister is and to respect his sister qua sister. Other things equal, one way of respecting one's sister, the sister is to adhere to the code. Why does he keep going? He keeps going. He keeps going and he keeps going. I am deeply uncomfortable. Even though I know he's not. Okay, okay. Pepper step. Let's go. I can't. Dude, I can't. Dude, this is hard. The fundamental problem. That's sexual expresses or indicates a feeling on the brother's part to recognize what his sister is and respect his sister's qua sister. Other things equal, one way of respecting one sister as a sister is to adhere to the cultural norm that informs our concept of sister. Okay. Our purpose of making it is to distinguish different types of beings from one another. Most of us refuse. Oh my god, bro, please. I get it. But why use that of everything you could have used? Why that as your example? Mason Amaro never wrecked me and a opening. Are there any good emotional stingers out there? Because I feel like Aqua just kidding. Yeah, bro. I can't, dude. Dude.